It's a car that's ready for the NEC. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving. You join me today on this beautiful blue sky spring morning with this sleaze, the 1973 Rover P6 3500, which is now of course the 4600. Here in the driveway, sleaze the grim Rover. When it's not nicking old ladies' handbags, it's breaking down in country lanes, or anywhere else it feels like, frankly. But today is a big day, an exciting day, or a big week of stuff going on, because we've got many vehicle movements happening this week, because it's the first real week of the show season really getting going. There's been a few small shows so far, but now things are ramping up. There's a little thing in Birmingham this weekend, the NEC Resto show with Practical Classics. That's a couple of halls at the NEC. A few people will go to that one. That's relatively interesting, but more important than that, it's the Furious Driving Social at The Motorist near Leeds. But I've got two cars heading north this week for both of those shows. First of all, sleaze the P6. Now, as you probably know, Lancaster Insurance now sponsor this channel. Thank you, Lancaster. You're keeping the lights on for me. They also insure the cars as a separate thing. I was already a customer before I became a sponsee. Let's get one of your cars on the stand, because I always have a great big stand at the NEC. So they wanted to have one of my cars that kind of represents the channel. And I thought, well, what represents Furious Driving better than a car that took several years to build and now doesn't work? More high aims, low achievements. So the plan today is give us a quick buzz over with all my Diamond Bright stuff as fast as possible. It's not very dirty on the outside, but it is very grim on the inside. Get under the bonnet, give it a quick once over under there. It needs an oil and filter change. That's time for that. And there's a couple other bits and pieces that need doing to it as well. Secondly, I need to choose which car I'm going to take to the Motorist. Now, it's the Italian car day up there, and I had planned to take the Alfa 159. But that hasn't happened. That's not quite ready yet. Secondly, my plan B was going to be the Alfa 145, because it's an Italian car day also happening at the Motorist. It'd be quite cool to turn up in that. Thing is though, the Alfa 145 is well and truly buried inside the shed. So this car is sitting here on the drive looking like I want to go for a big drive somewhere. The Rover 200 Coupe, which we all love. Everyone loves the 200 Coupe. The Tomcat is a great car, but it's a little bit untidy when you see it in person. I do admit that. I'm the first to admit that. And it's not a huge boot space. I'm just going to take a few sort of mugs and t-shirts to have on a merch stand up there. So it's not got a huge boot either, but it does have the advantage that it is literally right here. Thing is that I've not driven it since I did the head gasket, because that happened at the beginning of winter. It stayed in the barn till after winter. Then I took it for an MOT and didn't tax it because it was mid-month and it's then frosty and salty. So it's now just sitting here waiting for some use, and I'm thinking maybe I will take this one because it's a nice car and it was always reliable before. So yeah, maybe that'd be a good one to take. Anyway, we'll think about this after we've done the Rover. Rover first of all. Now there's a couple of things to talk about with this. Sort out a few years ago, the car tent, which used to stand where this carport is now, blew over it during a big storm, scratched up the rear side. I'll show you. This archway has got some bad chipping, so I need to get some touch-up paint on that. Fit. Oh no, I didn't buy any more trim clips. Damn, okay. I wonder if I can glue or stick a panel onto the side of that. Also marked, it's also marked just there. And mechanically, it's got two little things. I need to give an oil and filter change. It's not doing it now. There we go, yep. Hear the squeaky noise? The alternator keeps slipping. So I need to go and tighten the alternator up, give it an oil change, give it a tidy up. Yeah, not good. Also, I was going to put the door cards back on. I put a thing on members and Patreons chat about this, and I think I'm going to leave it on because it's the Resto show, not the classic show. Things don't have to be perfect. It's meant to be for works in progress, for cars that are being restored. So yeah, this I think is quite appropriate because I've got plans for this. I think I've already put rust proofing in there. It certainly doesn't hurt to add a bit more in. I want to add a bit of sound deadening in there because, yeah, just keep it all luxurious. And because I'm missing the door cards, and the door cards I've got aren't perfect, I can maybe make some new door cards and hide some speakers in there. So we can have proper car audio in a car that's 50-something years old, which would be pretty cool. Right, crack on. Bonnet. Bonnet release under there on a P6. Now the problem with having a car which is static for long periods, it becomes a shed basically. And these are my door cards which never went back on because the bottoms have gone all scraggly, so I need to get them remade or retrimmed or something. In fact, retrimmed because the vinyl's gone. I think actually I'll go and talk to the people in Paddock Wood who did the Mercedes seats, but they need redoing. But because I'm going to get them remade, I can have an area here behind them in the wood made hollow, room for a speaker, and this can be either left as it is, it's a little bit muffled, or perforated in some way so it looks like a speaker grill in there. Anyway, that's that. I've been looking for that. That's a really handy Bluetooth speaker. This one is also a bit warped, so that needs replacing as well. And this is another thing from a viewer, incredibly rare Rover seat back organiser. That's not going to the NEC with this car. Which brings me on to another thing. There are a couple of things I don't trust in this situation. First of all, the car itself. I don't trust it to make it to Sainsbury's, never mind Birmingham, hence the fact it's going on a truck. Secondly, I don't trust things not to go missing at the NEC because the last couple of years, various things have some sort of rare badges and stuff. So these super rare white indicators are not staying on the car for this event. I'm going to switch them over for the indicators off the white car. Treasure trove of history. This isn't particularly exciting, but this indicates how long it is since I've used this car because these are the headphone and phone cables from last time I used this. So this I think is Motorola, and it's got the word GSM on it, which dates it really heavily. And these headphones with a little speaker thing on it, Sony Ericsson. I used to have a Sony Ericsson T68i, first colour phone, which also had a camera and an FM radio on it and could play video. And I'm 97% sure those work with that because I still got that in a drawer somewhere. I wonder where the windscreen washers are gone. I need to refit them. This carpet is definitely threadbare. That's on my list of things that need to be changed on this car. And honestly, it's a very long list. It's surprisingly pretty clean in here, to be fair. The carpets were the worst bits. I've been plumbing it out in boots for the last couple of years. Interior trim enhancer will do no ends to, well, no end of wonders to my T-shelf area. Got looking nice and spick and span. Ow! I cut my finger the other day and it really hurts every time I literally touch anything. And no, the fuel gauge still doesn't work on this thing. Ow. It even smells nice. Bananas. And again, raiding the Diamond Bright parts cupboard, or the stuff cupboard, ultra glass. Great for getting the, well, good gloss, ultra clean, kind of. D-clear indicatoring, because not that these clear lenses, which I think are Italian market, I forget, are particularly valuable. They are quite valuable, but they are impossible to find. If someone decided to come in after hours and help themselves to those, I would never get another pair. So going back to the original amber ones, which got the amber LED bulbs behind there, not that it makes much difference, the car's going on a lorry. Express wash and wax, this stuff is actually pretty amazing. And for a car like this, which is not particularly dirty, it's just kind of dusty from being in storage, unfortunately you will get to see, if you come to the NEC, just how badly this paint was damaged by being parked underneath all those weeds and things for so long. Last year? Not by me, by the garage that was meant to be fixing it. This is one of those jobs where you need arms like a giant squid to be able to do this. Oh, don't, at least the washers, oh no it's not, the other washer was so tight I could just leave it on there and it gripped. Don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off, don't fall off. Phew. It didn't fall off. Right, job done. Car's got a face again. Cool, now let's get on to an exciting thing. Let's do some oil changing. Now you'll notice I've got my dirty working on the car hat on. The engine's running to warm the oil up a little bit so that it flows out a bit easier. And this is a perfect demonstration of why the the alternator needs tightening. Again, God, that sounds dreadful. Now, I know that I logically must possess a 13/16 socket because I fitted this thing a while ago. I just cannot find it anywhere. I think I must have taken it to the barn and left it there. At least it's a straight down drain for a change rather than a sideways one that catches you out and throws its contents literally everywhere. It will go literally everywhere though. Oh. It looks quite clean though, that's good. Now, like on the Crown Vic and the MX-5, I'm going to be using Ravenol. This is the incredibly high quality, really nice German engineering of oils. Link, as I said in the previous video, link in the description and you'll get 5% off as a customer through Furious Driving. This is really, really good stuff. This isn't your cheap this isn't your cheap middle of little, just something wet and greasy to put in the engine. This is proper liquid engineering, as they say on a different brand. And for this particular car, this is a 20W50 mineral oil. Another one of the people who works at Ravenol and runs a Rover V8 is using this same stuff. I did actually and ah quite a lot about this particular choice, because although it's a 1973 car, it's a mid-90s engine, but it's got 1970s parts in it as well. So I didn't know whether to go for the 1970s level of protection or the 1990s level of protection. So in the end, I went with this because this seems to be a good choice. Now, the oil filter on this thing is suitably annoying to reach. It's just there. And you can see it behind this protection thing, and then wiggle it around that so you pour oil over pretty much everything. I can't get any normal tools in to get onto the end of this oil filter, so I'm using a G-clamp, a big G-clamp, to try and clamp into it and then put enough force on it to turn it. This may or may not work. So before the oil pump stops being primed, I'm going to put as much as I can into this new filter. It doesn't go in completely flat, it's 45 degrees, so I can't completely fill it. And this goes down in here. Wow, my sleeve's caught. And now I can see literally nothing about what I'm trying to do. Oh no, got upside down, that's not good. Need to go from underneath the car, I think. So this is the new oil going in. Now, someone commented in the previous video that I should have been tipping the bottle over on its side. If you look down the front of this though, it does actually have a funny sort of pattern in there, and the idea is there, it doesn't make a difference which way I hold the bottle, it still pours out smoothly. Alright, it's all filled up again, so we'll fire it up and check we've got oil pressure. I'll try to anyway. Oil pressure. That took a moment to get oil pressure back up because there we go. Excellent, we've got oil pressure back again. That's always a worry after you restart or do an oil change on one of these V8s. Now it's trying to deal with that horrible squeak. So I slacken these brackets off, top and bottom, one there, down, two down there. And then we get the old persuader. This particular three-handed task is getting a little old now. I've done this enough times to be bored of it. Right, that's all tightened up again now. Let's see if it still screams like a bad one. There we go. Much better. Now I wonder how long it will stay like this time. Oh, that's good. Now the last thing, apart from a quick clean up under here with a bit of quick detailer, was to replace my Amazon Chinesium expansion tank here with this rather nice SD1 expansion tank that a viewer sent in through Junk in the Trunk. To do that though, I need to replace this radiator cap here, or it's a fixed cap that'll let water vent up to the expansion tank up here. And I bought it, and do you know what I've done with it? No, neither do I. It's vanished into thin air. So this will stay in the garage for a couple more days until I figure out where that's gone. And then I can replace it and have a proper good cooling system. Right, now the fun bits. This will be by no means a perfect job because I'm going to spray a little cap full of paint just there. This is gloss black, and just trying to paint it in to these chips. But it's better than nothing. Until I get the entire wing repainted, it'll have to do. Certainly be a good sort of 5 metre repair. This was really frustrating because this wing had not long been painted when the car tent blew away. I just put up a new car tent basically. The old one had stood there for absolutely years, no problem at all. And it was getting a bit threadbare after so long in the elements. So I treated myself to a new car tent. Actually, it was a 2-car car tent, that was the thing. I had this car and the Mark 1 MR2 side by side over where the carport is. This one under the carport, the MR2 squeezed in next to it, it just fitted. But I decided I could get a double width one, a huge double width one, which fitted really nicely, just perfect fit. I put it up on a warm summer's day, everything completely still, no forecast of bad weather at all for ages. And overnight, out of nowhere, storm, like a massive, massive storm, and it lifted the tent up and over the back fence and gouged my nice new paintwork on this car. I was very, very unhappy. Not perfect, but less obvious. There we go, quick spruceage and looking very presentable under the bonnet. Scuttle panel and everything else looks nice, so bonnet can go down. Car looks rather nice. So, 1 car done. Now the question is, which car do I take to, not Manchester, Leeds? Also, because that's 1 car going to a show, what's the other car going to be going to a show? Now I know I'm missing a bit of trim just here, but I haven't got any more clips, so maybe I can pick up some of those when I'm actually at the NEC, and then I can fit them next week. So, it's puking, but I can't quite see where from. I'm guessing that hose just there. Lots of coolant on the floor. Lovely expensive coolant. Well, turns out we're less done than I thought we were. You might have seen the short I put out the other day, which was this car, first of all, looking all resplendent and ticking over nicely in a car park at dusk and looking really beautiful and shiny. Got home, put it in the garage, I could hear a hissing noise when I turned it off. And that was coming from down here. That pipe just there actually comes, it's like checking your kids' shoes, all the way to here. And this pipe here, the metal bit comes to there. Well, that one's actually a little bit loose. I could see in the video, it looked like water was jetting out from back there, so possibly there's a metal pipe that goes to the heater that runs all the way under the inlet manifold. And I'll be honest, I don't think I'd run this with the heater on in a long time, and it was quite chilly light last night, so possibly the fact I had the heater running is what opened this up and caused the problem to manifest itself. This is the problem with kind of new build cars. It's not so much that you've got a dodgy or faulty car, it's just that any new project, it takes a few runs to kind of iron out all the bugs, find all the little things, and this car just hasn't really done any miles. When I backed this out of the garage, it looked like half a litre to a litre of water or coolant was on the floor underneath it. Looking into the radiator, it's down about there, but it was previously sitting at that kind of height, so it's lost about that much level in the radiator. So basically, as soon as the thing had cooled down and the pressure was off the system, it stops jettisoning water. Or maybe as soon as it jettisons enough water to release the pressure as well. So just see if, oh, that is a little bit loose actually. Wouldn't it be funny if literally that was all it was? Well, this one also quite loose. So yeah, I guess I've solved my mysterious problem of why it was puking water, because I hadn't finished tightening everything up, or things had worked loose. I've just taken this car for a very brief road test to make sure everything is running okay. It is actually running a bit hot still. It was actually running a bit hotter than that a second ago, but everything else did seem to be running okay. But most importantly, there's one thing we do to make sure this car is well and truly broken in. Yes, it does do a burnout. It's a one-wheel peel, but it's a solid one-wheel peel. Excellent. There is no point in having a rear-wheel drive V8 if you cannot leave in a hurry. Where it's been stopped beside the road, it does appear to be dripping a little bit of coolant still. So I'm guessing that is overflow. There is an overflow pipe, because it doesn't appear to be coming out of anywhere else. Nothing's hissing when I stop to have a look. But it does drive very nicely. This is a long way from being tuned and set up correctly, but even in its current guise, this thing, it's amazing. It's so brisk and so smooth. There is so much power in this car. I love it. I just wish I could trust it to drive anywhere, because currently the temperature gauge is sitting at the top of the green, with about 5 millimeters off the red. Brilliantly, I've just solved the problems. I was about to put the car back in the garage, noticed it was overheating anyway, but also there's a bit of a drip of water coming out. Lifted the bonnet to see if I could see where the coolant was leaking from, and noticed the alternator wasn't spinning, because that troublesome belt, which was slipping and then squeaking and then tightened very tight, has snapped. So I need to go and get a new alternator belt. I wonder what size that would be. Oh, great. This probably actually happened last night, because I noticed when I was driving back, before the overheating happened, I noticed that the ammeter volt thingy on the dashboard was showing below the centre, and every time I indicated or put the lights on main beam or something, it would drop drastically. So I guess this happened last night when I was on the dual carriageway. I left this to cool down for a little while, went and had some lunch and things at home, but it's still absolutely red hot. However, I have gone and found every spare fan belt I've got in the garage to see if any of these come close to being the right size. It's not going to last long, just long on and off the truck, so it's not going to leave the thing stranded at some point and being really annoying with a flat battery. I know though that a P6 on a good battery, in fact this car, can drive a long way. In its previous incarnation with the 3.5 litre, it actually drove all the way to Cambridge from Kent on a brand new battery with no alternator. Not deliberately, I have to say, but it conked out in Cambridge services, and that was that. So that was actually kind of stressful, finding the right size fan belt for a car you don't know what size fan belt it takes. At the last minute before the shop shut, it's kind of tricky. I bought several and none of them were right. I fitted the shortest one, which is 114 centimetres, but it's still just a little bit slack, even with the alternator on its fullest extent. So I've left a note saying, please don't rev it, just tickle it along and it'll hopefully be okay, and charge the battery and keep the water pump going. It's only going to drive on and off the lorry, so hopefully that's all going to be okay, and I'll get a shorter hand belt for it. Then the truck came about 6:30 this morning and was gone up the M40, I guess, to Birmingham. The car is hopefully inside the NEC right now, and I'll hopefully go and catch up with it tomorrow, Friday, and see it in the show itself and say hi to the Lancaster people. And you can too. If you do, just give it a little wave, just take a selfie with it, post it on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, whatever, tag me in it, see if I can spot you with my car where I'm not. Might be quite fun. So that's one car gone. Second car, what do I take to Yorkshire? What do I carry on from the NEC to the Motorist in? And the obvious choice and the fun choice is, of course, the Tomcat, the Rover 220 Coupe, which I've been looking forward to having a drive in for a long time. So I figured, let's do it. Let's just pull it out. It's not going to fit much merch in there, but we'll get enough in. It's a fantastic thing to drive. Great engine note, decent radio, comfy seats. Love it. Let's do that. So I pulled it out, gave it a quick once over with express wash and wax, so it looks quite nice. Drove it into town to the school pickup, had a bit of a drive around. By the time I came back though, I could hear a sound, and that front wheel, the brakes were binding on incredibly. They were almost on fire. It was so hot. I had to choose to either strip that caliper apart and rebuild it and hope it was going to work, which it might not have done, or go over to the barn and go and get that. The Alfa 145, which is the choice I was going to take in the first place. And so I did get there. I managed to finish my real work by lunchtime, get over to the barn, move several cars, move some other bits and pieces, get the car out, load it all up with merchandise. Of course, that wasn't plain sailing either, because the battery in this car is janked. I'd already got a new Assa 075 for this thing, but I needed one for the Rover 2000 in the garage, so I stole that for that and hadn't replaced that with that. So I then had to go and steal the battery out of the Rover 200 VI, which is a new, also Assa 075, and stick it in this thing. So it's been a fun old day. Need a cup of tea. It's a lovely car to drive, but I'll be honest, it's not as comfortable as the Rover. The Rover's got harder seats, but the seating position is better in the Rover. the ankle position and your sitting position does leave me a bit achy after a while in this thing, so that's going to be an interesting one with such a long drive. Anyway, that will be at the Motorist on Saturday. Leeds area, something in Elmet, Schneckle in Elmet or something. Anyway, come and find me up there, grab a coffee, come buy a mug and say hello. Right, like, subscribe, see the cars, bloody blah, the usual. Goodbye.